যদি সবাই ফিরে যায়, ওরে ওরে ও ভাগা সবাই ফিরে যায়, যদি গহন পথে যাওয়ার কালে কেউ ফিরে না যায়, তবে পথের কাটা তুই রক্ত মাখা চরণ তলে একলা দলরে, তুই রক্ত মাখা চরণ তলে একলা দলরে, যদি তোর ডাক শুনে কেউ না আসে, তবে একলা চলো রে। যদি আলো না ধরে, ওরে ওরে ও ভাগা আলো না ধরে, যদি ঝড় বাদলে আধার রাতে দুয়ার দেয় ঘরে, তবে বজ্রানলে আপন বুকের পাঁজর জ্বালিয়ে নিয়ে একলা চলো রে, আপন বুকের পাঁজর জ্বালিয়ে নিয়ে একলা চলো রে, যদি তোর ডাক শুনে কেউ না আসে, তবে একলা চলো রে। একলা চলো, একলা চলো, একলা চলো, একলা চলো রে।
Hi guys, thank you for joining the live stream. Today we have a very fascinating young lady with us who is an author, a former banker, and a very strong independent lady, a businesswoman as well, and an author as well. We already had a fascinating discussion offline just before the start of the live stream. So thanks a lot, Miss Priya Arora.
Nice to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Ma'am, when I was researching about you, I decided that the podcast has to be as much about the book as much as well as about you as well, because you are a very fascinating person. So first, let's discuss the book. Why did you decide to write this book? Why another book on Gita?
Why another book on Gita? Good question. And actually, you see, the thing is, when I studied the Bhagavad Gita, I was really amazed by it. And the reason I was amazed by it, because it was nothing like what I thought it would be. I thought it was a religious book,
Right.
and that is the general impression. But when I studied it, I realized that this is high philosophy. It transcends religion. It's beyond religion. And I'm not saying religion is bad, but I'm saying that philosophy is above religion. And why is it above religion? Because it's universal. So some thought which is so universal that it is common to every single human being, that is above religion. Because see, religion divides us. Religion, there are people of different religions and they follow a path, whatever that path may be, whether it's Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, whatever path. It divides people into different sections. But philosophy, this philosophy of Vedanta, and the Bhagavad Gita is pure Vedanta. I'll explain why. It actually is a universal thought process. It's for everybody, regardless of your religion. And why is that? Because what Sri Krishna is talking about is the human mind. And he's talking about how, if you control your mind, you control your life. Now, that is not a religious concept. That is a human concept, common to everybody. That if you want to live a fulfilled life, if you want to live a happy life, the first thing you need to conquer is your mind, your own mind. Then you can try and do other things successfully.
Yeah.
So when I realized this, it had such a strong impact on me. And actually, the principles that Sri Krishna talks about, these are principles that I have used in my own life. So when I wrote this book, I wrote it out of very deep personal experience. And I felt that it helped me so much. And I said, if it helps me, it can help other people, equally. That's why I wrote it. Because it's a book that is a help to people.
So this is ma'am's book. This is ma'am's latest book, Life is a Battlefield, Finding Peace, Insights from the Eternal Wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita. So ma'am, I think this is one fact that all religions agree upon, that life is suffering. And you also agree that life is a battlefield. Now, I'll ask a question from the atheist perspective, that if God is great and awesome and powerful, then why even is life a battlefield and full of problems? Why didn't he give us a life without any problems? Why does it have to be like a government office where I give an application and then have a problem solved?
That you have problems. See, actually, what it is that why do we come here? You have to see what is the purpose of being born on earth. That is the first thing we have to know. So, according to our Vedanta, and I will speak only from Vedanta point of view because that's what I practice. According to Vedanta, you are born on earth in order to learn, to grow spiritually. That is the purpose of your birth. Now, if you are to grow spiritually, you have to have experiences. And which are the experiences that help you grow? Is it like, do you learn better by a walk in the park or by climbing a mountain? Which experience is more educative for you? So obviously it is when you go through difficulties in life, we don't like it and we complain about it and we say, why has God given me this bad karma? But actually God has not given it. We have actually chosen it ourselves as a lesson in spiritual growth. So you have to think of this world as a classroom. You know, when you go to school and you take tough classes, okay, you take advanced math. Now you are taking that why? It's difficult. You may suffer doing those exams and studying, but doesn't it help you grow? Right? So that is the reason why we have to understand that we are born here to experience and to grow spiritually. Where the problem arises in today's world is we are not socialized from childhood to expect difficulty. That's where the problem is. See, look at how we are taught from childhood. And this is everybody all over the world. Huh? We're taught everything must go perfect in your life. You must have no problems. You must be perfect at everything in your life. And then when something doesn't go right, see, happily ever after is a fairy story. And we read these fairy stories that you live happily ever after, and we expect that in life subconsciously. But in life, if you expect good and bad to both come your way, then when something bad happens, you won't be disappointed, right? So, like that, Sri Krishna says this in the Bhagavad Gita. He says that one of his first lessons that he teaches Arjuna is that, good times and bad times are like summer and winter. This is his analogy. So just as summer comes, it doesn't last forever. You feel very hot in summer. You sweat. Sometimes when there's no power, then you say, oh gosh, I can't manage this. But it goes, it passes. And then winter comes. And then winter also goes and summer comes. So life is like that. Ups and downs, ups and downs. We just have to be prepared for it. Not that, oh, if something good has happened, this is going to last forever. It's not. If something bad has happened, no, this is forever. No, it's not. If you're stuck in traffic, you can get very irritated. But that traffic jam, you're not going to be there for the rest of your life. Correct? That traffic jam, how long will you be in a traffic jam? 1 hour, 2 hours? Are you going to be there the next day? No matter how bad the traffic is. So mentally, if you're irritated with being in that, I'm just giving this as an example. If you're irritated while being in that jam, and is there any point of that? Is it helping you get forward? You're only upsetting yourself. So in life, the same way, when things happen, we need to figure out what to do in the circumstances and concentrate on what is within our power. See, and it's not within our power sometimes to take away the trouble. You cannot take away the traffic jam. You can get very irritated, but is that going to clear the traffic? It's not. Better than that, if you are in a traffic jam, think, okay, what can I do now? Maybe what you can do is call the person you're going to be meeting and explain to them. That's one thing you can do. Second thing you can do is maybe listen to some nice music and just wait. But what is the point of getting worked up? So Sri Krishna is saying the same thing. He's saying in life, when bad things happen, it is up to you to control your mind. And calm it down, because anyway, if there's something you can do that. You know, if you can take a different route, take it,
Yeah.
solve the problem. But if there's no solution to this problem, then getting worked up doesn't help you. Then you have to learn to control your mind. What he calls it titiksha. Titiksha is that ability to go through hardship without crumbling. And you know who the greatest example of titiksha was? Sri Rama.
Who?
Sri Rama.
Yeah.
Greatest example of titiksha. So, you know, our Ramayana and Mahabharata, the purpose of the Ramayana and Mahabharata primarily was to teach people these Vedanta, really, to teach them these
Right.
principles of the
Right.
Veda.
Yeah.
And how do we teach it? Through these stories.
Exactly. So, ma'am, how old were you when you first read the Gita seriously and you understood a bit of it? When was that?
Actually, to be honest, it was very late because my entire life I was completely uninterested in all this.
Yeah.
Very sadly so. I came to it in my 50s.
Okay.
You know, at 50. Now 50 is not the right age to be starting this. We should learn this in childhood. You know why? Because look at it, if you learn something in childhood which helps you your entire life, isn't that good? That if I had this knowledge when I was a child, I look back on my life and I think how much pain and suffering would have not happened. Why? Because I would have looked at the problem differently. You know, disappointments I would have looked at differently. Everything. And that's why I wrote this book, because you see, we human beings, we are what we think. That is what we become. How we think, we become. And that actually is from the Aranyaka Upanishad. It says that you are your thoughts. As your thoughts, so your deeds. As your deeds, so your destiny. You know, so your karma and so your destiny. So the thing is that if you learn all this when you're young and starting off life, you can actually use this. Now, I always say better late than never. If I came to it in my 50s, fine. At least I got this knowledge, and that's what made me write the book. But yes, it should be learned in childhood.
So, how did you stumble upon the Gita in your 50s? Did it happen like, I'm roaming about a bookshop and let's just read the Gita because I'm Hindu
No,
after
no,
all?
no.
Okay.
No, not that at all. Actually, a friend of mine invited me to a lecture on the Bhagavad Gita at Ramakrishna Mission, which is here
Okay.
in Berkeley. You know, I live in the
Yeah.
San Francisco Bay Area.
Yeah.
So she does a lot of seva at the Ramakrishna Mission, and she said that there's this very good lecture. Come and listen. So I went with her just like that, not with any expectation. And when I listened to that lecture, it had such a profound impact on me, because I realized that this is the amazing knowledge. This is beyond religion. This is a jewel that we have. You know, we have this jewel of knowledge and we don't value it. It's very sad actually, and I felt so strongly about it that the book just came as a result of that. You know, that strong feeling that I had for the worth of this knowledge. It's the highest knowledge that any human being can have, actually.
I see. Ma'am, I have a slightly controversial question here. There's always a raging debate about which translation of the Gita to read. And the battle is apparently mainly between three publishers: the ISKCON public translation, the Ramakrishna Mission translation, and the Gita Press translation. And one of my intellectual heroes says that the Ramakrishna Mission translation is the best one. Do you have an opinion on which is the best or which is the most accurate?
Well, you see, it depends on, you know, in Hinduism, we don't have one view. The beauty of Hinduism is it's very pluralistic. So we accept multiple interpretations and multiple views. Now, you know, there are Shat Darshans. Even in the traditional classification, there are 6 different darshans. So depending on which one appeals to you, you can go in that path. Now, if you ask me, I am a Vedantin. So I will always say that I will always go with the Vedanta interpretation of the Bhagavad Gita, which is done by Ramakrishna Mission. So in my opinion, that would be. But I am not saying the others are wrong. You see, the others have a different interpretation in some parts, but they are not wrong. It's just which path you are following. You see, there's no right and wrong in this.
I think they serve very different purposes, the three translations, or three, four translations.
The difference is the Ramakrishna one is on the Gyan Marg, which is the path of knowledge. The ISKCON one is in the Bhakti Marg, which is the path of devotion. Now, they are not different actually, because you cannot have only knowledge and only devotion. They both go together, right? I mean, Sri Ramakrishna was the greatest bhakt of Ma Kali. He was the greatest devotee. But that didn't mean that he didn't follow the path of Vedanta. You see, so they are combined. So I don't really say that one is right and one is wrong. I say it's up to you to see which path you want to follow. And it's not even necessary to stick to one. You can follow, you can do all of them. Bhakti is as important as knowledge, in my opinion. That's what I feel.
Exactly. Okay, ma'am, this is sort of an outsider question.
I don't know if that answered your question, or I just...
Yeah, it absolutely did. So, ma'am, what is it a coincidence that so many NRIs are into the Vedantin part, or is it because of the kind of families that went to the USA who were Vedantin to begin with anyway when they were in the country as well? Even my intellectual hero Vivek Ramaswamy is on a similar path. He is a similar practitioner. So, how are all of you Vedantins?
I think I've been in the US now for 30 years. And in 30 years, I was, it's most of the time actually when I left India, when I grew up actually in Kolkata, to be honest. And when I grew up in India, I was not very into all this, into our Shastras, into Vedanta, nothing. I had no interest. The interest developed when I was in USA. But I think it's also that when you're outside of the country, you feel maybe a draw to the motherland and to your own culture, which maybe gets heightened when you're outside of your own, country. They say, in your own land, it's not appreciated as much.
Yeah.
Saying that a prophet is not appreciated in his own land, or something. They're saying like that. So, and that's very true, because you see, in India today, though it is reviving, in India, actually, the sad part is we have moved away from our heritage, which is very disappointing and sad, because this heritage is such a rich heritage. And, it's a heritage of equality. It's a heritage. This is the surprising thing. If you read our Shastras, everything that we are trying to achieve in the modern world is already talked about in our Shastras. This whole thing of justice, liberty, equality, gender equality. The Shastras only talk about this. And yet, we have rejected them. And we are going, towards concepts that we think are more modern. But our Shastras are everlasting. What they talk about. In fact, gender equality is a very big thing in our Shastras. Very, very big thing, which people miss. And I can tell you, if you want, from Ramayana, Mahabharata, from various, they're all Shastras, even in the Veda, how equality, both gender equality and social equality, are huge factors in them. Somewhere along the line, I don't know what has happened to our Hindu society, where we've become so, divided and so discriminatory. This happened much later. This is not part of our Shastra. Discrimination is not there in our Shastras at all. It's not sanctioned by our Shastras. This discrimination is a much later thing. I think it happened in the I mean, I'm not a historian, but if you ask me, it seems to have come up in the last few hundred years. This discrimination and gender inequality that has come up,
Right.
which is very unfortunate. We need to go back to our shastras. That's what we need to do.
Yeah. So, ma'am, I have now two questions in this very, very specific context of us moving away, our generations moving away from the Shastras. First is, again, an atheist, leftist question almost, that you are a woman, you are a strong, independent woman, an entrepreneur, and you are writing a book on religion, Hinduism, which apparently always, let's say, does bad things to women, or let's say people apologize for their bad behavior towards women on the basis of Shastras often, apparently. And also, no, let's first get through this one. Why do you think that is? Or how could you be both at the same time, and a strong independent woman and also someone who is writing a book on Hinduism and religion?
So I think if I am a strong woman, it's because I believe in, I follow the Shastras, because our Shastras teach us that. As I mentioned, our Shastras are about equality, gender equality. So I'll give you an example, a live example, which might help. One is, if you go to our Veda, do you know that our Veda has hymns contributed by 27 Rishikas, 27 female seers who contributed hymns to the most holy text, that is the Veda.
Yeah.
So tell me, is there any other religious texts that have voices of women? I don't think so. What does that tell you? That tells you that in the Veda, women were not discriminated against because their voices are heard there. Number one. Second thing, in terms of social equality, if you look at the Veda, if you look at the Chandogya Upanishad, it has this beautiful story about how a boy called Satyakama, who was the son of a maidservant, became a great rishi, joined a Gurukul and became a great rishi. Because there was no inequality that, you could only join a Gurukul if you were from a Brahmin house. That was not at all there in Vedic times. Anybody who had the right temperament, who was a worthy student, could go and join a Gurukul free and get a education free of cost. And Satyakama Jabala is a example of that in the Chandogya Upanishad. So that is, I'm just giving this as two examples. There are many examples. I've just pulled out these two. Go to the Ramayana. Talk about gender equality. Do you know when Sri Rama wanted to leave and go to the forest, everybody tried to stop him from going. And Guru Vasishtha, who was their Kula Guru, he said to Sri Rama, finally, he said, okay, I want you to stay, but if you're not going to stay, I can't stop you. You know what he says? Let Sita stay behind. Let her rule in your place. What does that tell you about society? Now, this is in the original Valmiki Ramayana, which also we have forgotten. Nowadays, nobody knows Valmiki Ramayana. And, people, if you say anything from Valmiki Ramayana, people think that you're, saying some rubbish.
Yeah.
Whereas actually, that's the real truth. Because Valmiki was a contemporary of Sri Rama, and what he wrote was a biography. So if you read the Valmiki Ramayana, it is very factual.
Yeah.
There is, because he's writing about a person who actually lived. So
Exactly.
the Valmiki Ramayana is, it is historical. It is itihas. It is called itihas.
Right. Yes.
So in that itihas, the portrayal of this of women is very different. And by this comment of Guru Vasishtha, it tells you what is the status of women. That he's saying she should rule. She decides not to rule. She decides, I'm going to the forest with my husband. That was her choice. But look at the suggestion. That tells you something about society, right? Then you look at any text. Look at any text. Look at the Mahabharata. Shikhandi was a transsexual. Shikhandi, who was the one who was born female and then transformed into male. Now, Shikhandi was given the greatest respect. Shikhandi was a commander in the Pandava army. Today we're talking about, transgender rights, this, that, and the other. They had that then.
Yeah.
They never discriminated. So
Yeah.
this is what we learn from our Shastras. In every area, there's no high and low. There is no social discrimination in our Shastras.
Yeah.
The difference between the Varnas, this Varna is not caste, because Varna
Yeah.
was not based on birth. You see, caste is based on birth, which is
Yeah.
also another recent sort of development, bad development. But Varna is based on, in Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna says that. He says, Chatur Varna Maya Srishtham Guna Karma Vibhagasha. What is Guna and Karma? Guna is your qualities as a
Yeah.
person, and Karma is the profession you choose. It's not what you're born with. You see, so that is the difference. So,
Yeah.
is there anything wrong with that? No. Based on your, if you have a very giving nature, if you want to serve society and live in poverty, then you became a Brahmin. Now, not everybody could be a Brahmin, because not everybody wants to live in poverty. In those days, to be a Brahmin meant you had to beg for your food.
Yes, I
You
read
did
the
not have
Manusmriti and realized that I would never be a Brahmin. I would never want to be a Brahmin.
Today, there are no Brahmins, actually. By the
Yeah.
Vedic definition,
Yeah.
nobody is a Brahmin today. Because to be a Brahmin, you have to be a particular kind of person. You have to serve society selflessly with your knowledge.
Yeah.
That was the being a Brahmin. Then to be a Kshatriya, you had to serve society with your administration and with your power. That was Kshatriya. To be a Vaishya, you had to serve society with your business acumen by increasing the wealth of the society for everybody. You see, because if the society does well, if the rich, so everybody benefits. Then, if you were a Shudra, your responsibility was to serve society with your skills, whatever your skills were. If you were, whatever your skill set, if you were a carpenter, you served society by doing that. If you were a potter, you served society by doing that. And there's no discrimination. There's no high and low. High and low was not based on your profession. High and low was based on your conduct, your guna, what kind of person you are. And there's a very good story explaining this in the Mahabharata. So Rishi Markandeya tells this story to the Pandavas to explain exactly this, that no job is high or low. You cannot look down on someone and say, oh, they're doing this job, so they are low. Nobody is less. We are all equal. There's no division in between. We say in Vedanta that everybody has the same Atman. The same inner spirit is there in everybody, including animals, including plants, including the whole of the environment, which is why we have respect for all life, all creation. You have to respect. So where in that philosophy which says that we are all one, can there be discrimination? This discrimination is not in our Shastras. It's a new thing. We need to get rid of it. We absolutely need to get rid of it and go back to our Shastras.
And ma'am, when I was researching about you, I realized that you are a big fan of the Valmiki Ramayana as well, as are all our viewers. Okay, we are a huge Valmiki Ramayana fanboys here. And so we dislike movie after movie, TV serial after TV serials being based only on later interpretations of the Ramayana, not the original Valmiki Ramayana. So we'll discuss a bit of that as well. But first, let's get back to my other question of us moving away from Shastras, which is people treating gods, devtas, or religion as an ATM or a marriage counselor often, that, okay, please help me get that girlfriend, please help me get this money, please help me win this case. Do you think that's a distortion, or is there room for that as well in Hindu philosophy?
No, that is a distortion, because you see, going back to the basics, Vedanta says that there is only one power in this whole universe, right? There is only one, what you call God, but you call it whatever name. Vedanta calls it Brahman, and Brahman means the infinite. It means that which is infinite. There is only one of that, right? And what Vedanta says is that everything in creation, everything you see, that means you, me, the tree, the dog, the cow, everything is that power manifested in a form. So I always like to give the analogy of science, which says E is equal to mc square, right? This is the energy. All matter is actually ultimately energy. That's what science will say to you. So Vedanta says exactly the same. Vedanta says that all creation, all matter is ultimately that energy, that power that is Brahman. It's exactly the same logic. So now coming to that, your question about how about asking God. So you're not asking anybody. Actually, what Vedanta says, you yourself are that power. You just don't realize it. We are that power. Not in this form, not in the form of like Priya, but not the body, but the Atman that is there, which is common to all of us. That is the real identity. Our real identity is Atman, not the form, because the form we keep changing. See, this form is for this lifetime. Next lifetime, I might be a man. I might be something else. I might be a completely different in a different form. So, but what is constant is the Atman. So, it's not that when you're asking, first of all, it is you're asking in a way yourself when you're doing this, because you're asking what that power that you envisage. So that is why the theory of karma is so important. So based on what we do in our lives, we generate a result. Then that result we experience in the future. Now, when we experience in the future, then we say, no, we don't like this. Then we pray, God, please take away this result. Correct? But then how can that result be taken away when that result has been self-created? And it has been created to be experienced.
Right.
So actually, there's no taking away. The only thing we can do is to ask the right prayer is to ask, give me the strength to handle my karma, to handle what has come my way,
Exactly.
to do that correctly. That is the right prayer. But and which
Exactly.
we do pray that, but that's a barter system, isn't it? You say, okay, if God does this, then I will donate this much money. But then that's like a trade. You're doing a trade. Now, is that something that's valid? I don't think so. How can you do a trade?
Yeah. But ma'am, so many Purohits and religious leaders are supposed to have read the Shastras. So who or what deviated the populace to such a degree that the gods became ATMs? How did that happen?
The trouble with Vedanta is it's very high philosophy. And it's not easy for everybody to understand it. First of all, you have to have interest in understanding it. And again, Krishna says this in Bhagavad Gita. He tells Arjuna this. He says that this knowledge is he calls it guhyam. Guhyam means secret, actually hidden. Hidden, I would say hidden. He says it's there, but it's not available to everybody. Why? Not because you can't give it to them, but because they're not interested. Most people are not interested to know this. So the reason why and then the other thing that happened is, I would say, definitely over the last few hundred years, we have forgotten Sanskrit. Now all these shastras are in Sanskrit. Now we have, in 1835, the Indian Education Act that was brought in, that act replaced Sanskrit with English.
Yeah.
So if you replace a language, over time, what happens? The texts that are in that language grow, The texts that are
Right.
in the language that has been replaced are forgotten, which is why
Hmm.
we've forgotten Valmiki Ramayana completely. It's in Sanskrit.
Right.
And we only rely on translations. And a translation is they're okay, but they're never the same as the original. So I
Yeah.
think that one of the reasons why we have got separated from our heritage is because we've got separated from the language in which our heritage is communicated, which is Sanskrit. So,
Yeah.
actually, if it was like maybe 500 years ago, people who were intellectual all knew Sanskrit.
Yeah.
It was the
Absolutely.
language they all
Of
knew and they
course.
all studied in it,
Yeah.
right? So then today, the people who are intellectual don't necessarily know Sanskrit. In fact, they probably don't know Sanskrit.
Yeah.
This is the tragedy.
So, ma'am, would you say then Vivek Ramaswamy is actually right when he recently got into a controversy again for saying that there is one similarity between how a Christian views the world and how I view the world? Because I also believe that the supreme power that we call God is Brahman. Would you say then, therefore, there is some way to reconcile his ideas of USA and the Christian's idea of USA?
See, what he said is pure Vedanta. If he said
Right.
if he's talking about Brahman,
Hmm.
what he's talking is beyond religion. I told you Vedanta is beyond religion.
Yeah.
Vedanta, Swami Vivekananda said, Vedanta is the mother of all religions. So it is the source of religion. It may not be a religion in itself, but it is the source of all religion. Why? Because whatever is in Vedanta is the highest thought. So what he's saying is absolutely correct. That no matter which form of God you believe in, it ultimately all prayers go to the same feet because there is only one. There is only one Brahman. You can say, okay, my Ishta Devata is Sri Rama, or my Ishta Devata is Sri Krishna, or my Ishta Devi is Ma Kali. You can say that. And nothing wrong. Nothing wrong. We should have Ishta Devata because that helps us in devotion. It helps cultivate devotion. That's why you have an Ishta Devata. But we must recognize that Ishta Devata is the same as all others. See, Brahman is one. That Ishta Devata is just a form of that Brahman for
Yeah, one
you.
aspect of that Brahman, according to your personality, your
For you.
characteristics.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So for a Christian, it may be Jesus Christ, which is fine. They
Exactly.
see that power as Jesus Christ, which is fine. For me, it may be Sri Rama. It may be. And then that's also fine. Because ultimately, it's that one Brahman we're talking about. We're not talking about multiple gods. We're talking about one power, you know.
Yeah.
So, Veda says this, Ekam Sat Vipra Bahuda Vadanti.
Yeah.
So, Ekam Sat means there is one reality.
Yeah.
Vipra is the sages, the wise people, enlightened people. Call
Yeah.
it by many names.
Exactly.
Bahuda Vadanti, many names.
Yeah.
But the power is one. You call that power whatever you like. It doesn't matter. This is why the Hinduism is so tolerant, because it doesn't believe that your Ishta Devata is the only Devata.
Yeah.
Your Ishta Devata is the Ishta Devata for you, but that power is one.
Yeah.
Ultimately, that power is one, and we are all
Now,
that.
ma'am. Yeah. Ma'am, do you think Indians or Hindus are matured enough to handle Valmiki Ramayana today if a movie is based on the Valmiki Ramayana? Do you think there will be huge controversies and FIRs files
There will
against the
be.
director and stuff?
Yes, there will be. People will scream and shout and say that, I'll tell you why. Because you see, Valmiki Ramayana was a contemporary account. It was written by someone he didn't write it actually, it was oral, so he composed it. He composed it in the lifetime of Sri Rama. He was a contemporary. Now, when a contemporary writes something, they are writing it as a biography. Whereas the later Ramayanas, and I will compare the two, like you have the Ramcharitmanas, which is the most famous one, which is written in, I think it was 1574. It was written much, much later, much, thousands of years later. And it was written with the point of view of bhakti. And it was written in Avdi, not in Sanskrit. It was written to with the purpose of the bhakti bhav, as they call it. Now, nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. And it's a
Yeah.
beautiful piece. I have, Ramcharitmanas is absolutely a masterpiece. But where people get confused is it is not itihas. The historical one is only Valmiki Ramayana. Because a lot of, when Goswami Tulsidas wrote Ramcharitmanas, he changed a lot of the narration to accommodate the bhakti bhav. You see, he changed the narration of the incidents. So, but when people only know that one, then they think the Valmiki Ramayana is wrong. Then they think if you talk about Valmiki Ramayana, they think that you are criticizing Sri Ram. You are not criticizing Sri Ram, because in Valmiki Ramayana, Sri Ram is shown as an ideal human being. He's not shown as so much as a god. But in Ramcharitmanas, he is shown as divine. So the focus is on his divinity. In Valmiki Ramayana, his focus is on his character as a Maryada Purushottam, which is the highest exemplar of dharma, which is very different treatment. So yes, people will get upset, because if they only know one, the newer Ramayana, the Ramcharitmanas, then they will get upset if they hear about Valmiki Ramayana, because they'll think that that's wrong. You know? So,
ma'am, are you? Yeah, go ahead.
No, but I'm saying, but that is the sad thing going on, the point that you said before about we are so separated from Sanskrit that we've forgotten the original Ramayana.
Yeah. Ma'am, are you aware of the gigantic big budget Hollywood production of Ramayana coming up from producer Namit Malhotra?
The
one in which both Hans Zimmer and A.R. Rahman are doing the music. Ranbir Kapoor playing the role of Sri Ram.
And yeah. Now that you mentioned Ranbir Kapoor, I heard about it.
Yeah,
I heard about it,
you
but
must
I don't know
check
much
out the teaser. Okay, I was about to ask you that. Are you excited about it or not?
I don't know, because I don't know much about it. See, the thing is, when Maharishi Valmiki composed Ramayana, he composed it to teach people dharma, to spread the concept of what is the meaning of dharma. But when movies are made, they are made for entertainment.
Yeah.
So the purpose is different. So this movie is not being made to teach you dharma. This movie is being made to entertain you, so that you it'll be a box office hit.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't know how true it is to the original. It may or may not be. That I don't know. So from my point of view, I feel that it would be wonderful if somebody made a movie on Valmiki Ramayana, true to that story.
Yes.
But nowadays, whichever ones I've seen, and I don't know about this one, but the ones that I've seen so far, TV serials and movies, they are not true to the original. In fact, there are some things that they say there which I'm thinking, where is this ever mentioned in Valmiki Ramayana?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Ma'am, we'll now discuss this beautiful cover of your book. First, let people see this on my screen. This is the cover of her latest book, guys. Check this out. I was just telling her before the start of our interview, our podcast, that this looks like the cover of an epic fantasy adventure series, a fictional adventure series. And now, wait. Now see the poster framed behind her, which also is. Oh, you can't see it this way. So yeah, we all will have to zoom in on the screen, guys. So, ma'am, tell us what's the story behind this beautiful
The story
illustration?
behind it. So, the Bhagavad Gita, as I said, is on mind management. It is actually
Hmm.
a wonderful, wonderful psychological text that
Hmm.
teaches you how to control your mind. And the reason is, if you control your mind, you control your life.
Hmm.
Because all our tensions actually come from our own minds and not
Hmm.
managing how we think.
Hmm.
So this cover illustrates that. So see this person there, this figure that's sitting on the top of that mountain is surrounded
Hmm.
by waves and storms and clouds and rain and thunderstorms, but that
Hmm.
person is at peace and at
Hmm.
peace in a little bubble of light. So that's what
Right.
the Bhagavad Gita is teaching you, that life will
Hmm.
be a battlefield, life will be full of trouble, but within that trouble, you have to find your peace. You have
Hmm.
to be fulfilled despite the difficulties that come your way. And that is the lesson that Sri Krishna gave to Arjuna. The lesson
Hmm.
of the Bhagavad Gita is just this, that of how to manage your mind so that you can live your life in a fulfilled way.
Hmm.
So in this
And ma'am,
way, like,
yeah, go on.
go ahead.
How many iterations did it take for the artist to get fully understand your brief?
Surprisingly, it was like first shot. You won't believe it. This cover was
Hmm.
done by the publisher, by Penguin, and I was so
Hmm.
pleased with it when they presented it to me as an option. And I thought, my goodness, it's perfectly captured what I am trying to say in the book. So yes,
Hmm.
I don't think there were not too many iterations.
I see. That is a fascinating achievement by the artist, I think. Now, ma'am,
Yes.
you have had many, many career transitions. You've chosen and left many careers. Firstly, tell me, were you afraid while joining a new career each time? And your graduation was in English literature, then you were a banker, now you run a company. So, how much was the fear factor, or were you excited and feeling adventurous about those things, about those transitions? And after that, tell me, if you had read the Bhagavad Gita back then, if you had understood it back then, would the journey have been easier?
No, the journey in life is always easier. Talking about transitions, see,
Hmm.
transitions are part of life. Nothing stays the
Hmm.
same. Nothing in this
Hmm.
world. The only thing that stays the same is the Atman. Brahman stays the same,
Hmm.
unchanging.
Hmm. Hmm.
But everything that is manifest, everything that you
Hmm.
see is temporary. Nothing in this world
Hmm.
is permanent. So,
Hmm.
our problem is when we expect permanent joy from a
Hmm.
transient world,
Yeah.
right? So that's kind of like a mismatch, right? How can you expect
Hmm.
permanent happiness from a
Hmm.
temporary situation?
Hmm.
So that is the lesson. And you're asking me if I would have felt differently in all the
Hmm.
years, that if I had known the Bhagavad Gita, say at the age of
Right.
16.
Yeah.
Yes, it would have made a huge difference. Why?
Hmm.
Because in life, whenever there is a difficulty or a disappointment that comes,
Hmm.
whether it's minor or major,
Hmm.
to handle that, if you have this knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita, it is like it's like, this is a funny analogy. When you have a headache, you take a paracetamol and your headache is
Hmm.
gone.
Yeah.
If you take this knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita, all these tensions of life are gone. So
Hmm.
they don't disappear, but your ability to handle them makes them
Hmm.
minimizes them. So a
Hmm.
big crisis becomes a small problem,
Hmm.
which you handle with this
Hmm.
mindset.
Hmm.
So it doesn't take away a problem. So uh, I'll give you an example. Like, I went through cancer. So that is a
Yeah.
big problem, a big health problem
Yeah.
for most people.
Hmm.
And it was also for me, when I first heard the diagnosis, it's not a pleasant thing
Hmm.
to hear. But when you have this knowledge, luckily I had the knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita by then.
I
So
see.
once you have this knowledge, you handle it so much better. The cancer didn't go away. Bhagavad Gita can't make your cancer go away. Cancer
Yeah.
was still there. Treatment was still there. The difference is my ability to handle it, my approach to it.
Yeah.
See, I could have completely got depressed, and this it's a horrible treatment. And especially mine was very aggressive cancer. So
I
they
see.
they threw the book at me in terms of treatment, because
Oh.
I had to have many treatments to get rid of it, or to go in remission, as they say. Anyway, so the thing is, the difference is the mindset. Because I had the Bhagavad Gita, I was not stressed with it. I actually went through it without too much stress, without mental turmoil. So the difference is that if this had happened to me before I was, aware of the Bhagavad Gita, I would have gone through much more stress. Every treatment would have been, oh my gosh, I can't do this, crying, feeling upset. But that didn't happen with me. And I say this is only because of the Bhagavad Gita. It just changes your thinking. Say, okay, fine, it's there, we'll deal with it. That's the mindset it helps you develop. That the problem will come, you will be able to deal with it. That is what it gives you. It gives you the strength to deal with the problem. And the strength not by anything, but by reorienting your thinking, re-engineering the way you think. The mind is a very powerful thing. We don't realize how powerful our mind is. If you actually harness your mind's energy to the fullest, you can achieve great things. So in my
And ma'am,
small
I would
way,
argue that yeah, ma'am, please finish your point.
What I'm saying, in my small way, I realized that through this illness that I had, that the Bhagavad Gita actually is a practical guide. It had practical use. It's not some philosophy that you just keep on the shelf.
Right. And ma'am, I would argue that the Bhagavad Gita actually helped you directly physically as well, because you did not have much stress. Therefore, you did not have too much blood cortisol levels, and that would definitely screw up your recovery much more. Because you always have physiological repercussions of stress, and the Bhagavad Gita helped you with that.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, you see, the reason why it's important to keep control over your mind is because that's when your thinking is, you're alert in your thinking. Just think, if you're a surgeon and you're performing a surgery, and you by mistake you cut some wrong vessel, just supposing. Now, if you get all panicked about it, are you going to be able to fix that? You're not.
No.
In that time of crisis, you have to keep your mind very, very calm. Only then you will find the solution. And that is in everything in life. You cannot be in a heightened state of emotion and then do the right thing. You will always do the wrong thing, which is why they say sleep on it. When you're very angry, they say don't go and do something. If you look at the newspaper, what are all the crimes that are committed are because of heightened emotion and are because of this. For three things actually, which in Bhagavad Gita are called the gates to hell. The three gates to hell, he says, Trividam Dwaram. There are three gates which lead you to destruction. They are Kama, Krodha, and Lobha. Kama is desire, intense desire for something. Krodha is anger, and Lobha is greed. Once these three monsters capture your mind, you are not in control of it. So that's why Sri Krishna says that you have to slowly bring your mind in control and not be controlled by these factors.
That uncontrolled anger and emotion does not help in a single thing, including fighting. I'm a huge follower of martial arts. combat sports. And even there, every fight coach in every martial art will tell you that never fight angry, because you'll stress yourself
Yes,
out. You'll get tired extra soon
yes,
for no absolute
yes,
point. Uh,
absolutely.
yeah, go on.
No, absolutely. What you said is very correct. The
Yeah,
mind is something that we have to keep. It doesn't mean you're emotionless, but
yeah.
it means that you're not led by your emotions. There's this in English. There's this saying, "Go with your heart." Now,
Hmm.
that people just say, "No, go with your heart." Go with your heart means go. If it means go with your emotions, that's very wrong
Hmm.
advice.
Yes, absolutely.
because because you should go with your head,
Yeah,
right? You should
yeah,
think before you act. Think before you say
yeah,
something. People
yeah.
have, committed murder
Hmm.
just in rage and then later regret it.
Yeah.
And two lovers have a quarrel and then one kills the other
Hmm.
in rage.
Hmm.
Then later they,
Hmm.
they say, "Oh, I shouldn't have done." But it's too late. So
Hmm.
it's very dangerous when you're led by emotion.
Hmm. Ma'am, have you read the poem "If" by Rudyard Kipling?
No.
Okay, we were taught that in class 6 or 7, and we were told that
Yeah.
this is a poem about Stoicism. And then I grew up and read Marcus Aurelius as well. Do you think
Uh-huh.
Stoicism is exactly what Hinduism calls Jitendriya and control over your emotions, or are they different?
Very similar. Very
Hmm.
similar. In fact, if you read the sayings of the Stoic sayings,
Hmm.
there are they will match a lot with what is Jitendriya, is
Hmm.
controlling
Ma'am,
your
your voice is breaking up a
senses.
little. Uh, Wait, could you repeat that point? Your internet
Oh,
was acting
sorry.
up a
I
little.
said they are very similar.
Hmm.
Oh, sorry. So what I'm saying is that Stoicism
Hmm.
and it has a lot of similarity. What you said, the word you used was Jitendriya, right? Is that
Hmm.
to conquer your senses.
Yeah.
So they are very similar. They are the same, I would say, in
Hmm.
many ways,
I see.
because that's what Stoicism is not to
Hmm.
give way to heightened emotion and to act with
Hmm.
intelligence.
Hmm.
And our shastras teach us that consistently
Hmm.
is don't act on emotion. In fact, in the Ramayana, when
Hmm.
Vali goes
Hmm.
out, when Sugriv challenges him, Vali gets very angry. And he says,
Hmm.
"I'm going to go and kill him." And his wife, Tara, who's a very smart woman, again, gender equality is shown here, that she is the
Hmm.
smart one in that
Hmm.
relationship. She tells him, she says that, don't act now because you're angry. Don't go running out now. Wait till the morning.
Hmm.
Think about it, then go. He doesn't listen to her. He just runs
Hmm.
out in anger and
Hmm.
he gets killed. So
Hmm.
it's illustrating this point that you should not act
Hmm.
in rage.
Hmm. Have you delved into some Western philosophy as well?
Like what kind?
Nietzsche.
Which
Nietzsche.
not particularly, not particularly, not
Okay.
particularly. To
I
be
was going to
honest,
ask
my
you about
interest
his criticisms of Stoicism, because he was a big fan of Manusmriti, but he was also a critic of Stoicism. So I would have asked
Mhm.
you about your views on that.
I'm interested. What was his criticism? Because I haven't.
He would say that you don't have to prevent yourself from acting on your emotions. Go live your emotions to the fullest, act upon them, and face the consequences, and then act
Yeah.
further upon the consequences that you got from the previous action as well. Then you'll live your life to the fullest, actually.
Well, that is opposite of what Vedanta teaches you. So
Yeah.
it's not something that I could ever agree with, just because it's
Hmm.
completely contrary to everything that Vedanta says. Vedanta says
Yeah.
the greatest quality you can develop is samatvam.
Hmm.
Samatvam is even-mindedness. Samabuddhi.
Right.
Sama
Hmm.
means even, and keep
Yeah.
your mind even. And that's
Yeah.
again a quality of Sri Rama, which is why he's so
Hmm.
revered, because
Hmm.
he had all these qualities.
Hmm.
Samatvam is
Hmm.
equanimity, actually.
I see.
So no, I don't buy that concept, if that's what he said. And I
Okay.
haven't I haven't studied him, but yeah.
Yeah. Uh, Okay, ma'am, there's a retired Navy SEAL that I follow because of his thoughts on life and motivation and controlling your mind, etc., and stoicism as well. Now, in the middle of his service, he returned to his country and did a graduation in English literature just because so he could become a better leader. And you are an English literature graduate from Oxford as well. How has that experience in Oxford shaped your experiences later in life and your, let's say, your control of emotions or you being good at your job? How has that English literature degree from Oxford helped you in the rest of your careers?
So it didn't help me in controlling my emotions. What helped me controlling my emotions was Bhagavad Gita. But but what Oxford did help me with, and which is a great thing about the Oxford education, is it encourages you to think. I'll tell you why. Because the whole way the system works is based on your analysis. It's not based on your learning something by heart and spilling it out on the exam paper. You see? So the way it works actually is through what they call the tutorial system, which is you are given you're supposed to read a book, whatever that book is, say Shakespeare's Hamlet, and then you read that. Then you're told to research on it yourself, and you have to write what they call an essay, which is basically an article on a subject which your tutor will give you. So it could be like indecisiveness in Hamlet. I'm just saying it could be something like that. And it will be a simple topic, and then you have to write about it. You write about it, but to write about it, first you have to research it and read it and understand it yourself. So there's no lectures that you are listening to and copying down and spilling out. It's a research based education. So when you research something, you actually have to understand. So you do that, and then when you go to the tutorial, you have a partner, another student who's also written an article, and then you read out your articles and discuss them.
I see.
So you see, it's based on making you think. When you do it this way, it's not like you're attending a lecture, you're sleeping during the lecture, you're somehow mugging up and filling it out in the exam. And the better you mug up, the better the marks you get. That's one system. This is not that system. The Oxford system is very good in teaching you how to think because it is research based. So that is what it helps me, and that helps you with everything in life. Because when you start thinking like that, you can apply that in every aspect.
Ma'am, the concept of book reports, which American kids have to go through their entire lives in their school system, I've learnt of that from American TV shows, obviously. How much is that effective? Do they do it on their own, or do parents just do the book report? Because that should build up their critical thinking from the childhood onwards, right? That seems like a very fascinating concept.
The idea of that is to build critical thinking. The purpose behind it. Now, whether they're actually doing that or that, I don't know. That I can't say. But the purpose behind it is that, because it's only you can only build up critical thinking when you are forced to think yourself. Not when you are spoon-fed and told what to think. Which is actually the method of our Shastras. Do you know our Shastras are based on this method, which is of critical thinking, which is why we don't have blasphemy and heresy and apostasy and all this. The reason is that you learn through what is called Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasana. So Shravanam is listening. So you listen to a guru. You hear get the knowledge through your ears. Then Mananam is you contemplate on it. You think about it. You question. You must question. And Nididhyasana is once your questioning questions are answered, you are satisfied with your analysis, then it becomes a lived thing, reality. That is Nididhyasana. then it becomes very strong. See, a belief system can be imposed on you, but something that you have discovered yourself can never be shaken off. A belief system
Exactly.
can be shaken off. Why?
Yeah.
Because it was imposed on you. So something that's
Yes.
imposed, you can easily
Yeah.
shake it off. But something
Yeah.
that you have absorbed from within, how can you shake
Yeah.
it off? Like today, if somebody tells me, Vedanta for me is now part of my life, so I cannot now take on another belief system. It's not possible
Yeah. Yeah.
because it's so firm in me.
Yeah.
It's so firm because it's come from within. It's not an imposed thing.
Yeah.
Nobody came and told me that you must, practice, follow Vedanta. You must believe this. In fact, the Bhagavad Gita, Shri Krishna tells Arjuna this. He says, "Listen, I've told you everything." At the end, he says, "You do what you want to do." And throughout the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna asks him questions. Shri Krishna says something. Arjuna says, "No, but how can I?" And he pushes back. In a polite way, of course, not
Yeah.
pushes, doesn't mean being aggressive. It means
Yeah.
he had doubts about what Krishna was saying. He was not clear.
Yeah.
He asked questions. So every Shastra, all our Upanishads, our Bhagavad Gita, they are all what they call a dialogue. They are discussion.
Exactly. Yes.
It's not a commandment. It's not like we are
Right.
told, you have to do this, you have to do that. If you don't do this, you'll go to hell. If you do this, you'll go to heaven. It's not that. You have to realize that from within. You have to absorb this, but the realization is up to you. That's why Shri Krishna says it's guhyam. It's hidden.
I see.
Because it is not something that is imposed. In fact, he tells Arjuna, he says, "I've told you all this. Now you don't have to go telling everybody this. Because not everybody is ready.
Right.
When they're ready, they will
Exactly.
come to it. You have to be a ready student." After all, Duryodhana also was there. Huh? And Shri Krishna tried to teach Duryodhana. He did not want to learn. When he went to negotiate the peace settlement, he tried to teach him. But Duryodhana was close-minded. So if you're close-minded, how can you get this knowledge? The difference between Arjuna and Duryodhana was Arjuna was a willing student. In fact, he tells Shri Krishna, "Shishyate I am your student." He says, "Make me your student."
And coincidentally, ma'am, this was the exact question I was about to ask, or actually point out that so many of our Hindu texts are simply conversations and questions being answered. I'm halfway into the Sri Vigyan Bhairav Tantra, where Bhairavi is simply asking questions which are almost seemingly blasphemous. How can you even ask this to Bhairava? She's going on asking questions to Bhairava, and he's going on answering. And the introduction to the Sri Vigyan Bhairav Tantra actually says that don't go around telling this to any random people. People who are interested will read it for themselves. And from the Vigyan Bhairav Tantra to Srila Prabhupada's book Beyond Delusion and Doubt as well. It's a conversation between Srila Prabhupada and a disciple, asking questions and getting answers.
Absolutely. Every single text you will find is in that format. And the reason is because true learning, where does true knowledge come? Can true knowledge be imposed on you? True knowledge is something that comes from which you have to absorb. It's not something that anybody can impose on you. If it's imposed on you and you're doing it because it's imposed on you, then that's not true knowledge. True knowledge can only come by Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasam. That is the path to true knowledge.
Not many Indians got this memo, I think. Now, the things you said about Oxford, you said those sentences in the present tense. Are you sure those are the ways of Oxford even today? I'm asking that if you were an English literature student today who graduated from Oxford, wouldn't you be an atheist transgender woman with pink hair?
I hope not.
Does Oxford still encourage critical thinking?
No, see, the thing is, and I'm not saying anything against people who have that orientation. That's perfectly fine.
Yeah, of course.
But what I'm saying is that in Oxford, They don't. That this is not the subject that they are talking about. You see, they are talking. The education system is based on encouraging critical thinking. Now, if you don't get encouraged to think critically, that's on you, right? That's not on the system.
Okay.
If you can't blame the system for people who have whatever views they have, right? And frankly speaking, atheism is a view. If you can, atheist is basically someone who doesn't believe in the existence of a god, right? But to be honest, I don't think even atheism would disagree with the Vedantic definition of God. You
Possibly.
see, because the Vedantic definition of God is not a being, not an entity. It is the power of existence itself. So if you're saying that I don't believe in the power of existence, then what you're saying is I don't believe I exist, which is obviously not true. The fact that we exist means there is a power of existence. Correct?
Right.
So by that logic, even if you're atheist, you can this still works. The concept of Brahman,
Yeah.
the infinite Brahman,
Yeah.
is still there. So I think when most atheists, in my opinion, what they maybe are disagreeing with is the concept of God as an entity, as a being, or maybe in a particular form. Maybe that's what they disagree with, because you cannot say that you don't exist. You cannot say that I don't believe in existence.
Yeah.
And that is what Brahman is. Brahman is the power of existence. So
and to be fair to
Vedanta covers all bases. Vedanta covers all bases.
Yes.
No, I think Vedanta covers all bases. It doesn't, it doesn't have any loose ends here.
Right. And to be fair to Oxford and even Cambridge, they are not really like Harvard. They have been inviting guests to their Oxford Union debates and speaking in events. People who have been cancelled out of every event, every other university in the whole world. They were inviting people like Ben Shapiro, Jordan Peterson, who was one of the advisors in the first administration of Trump. Anyway, he was some economic nationalist guy. They were all of the people who got called white nationalists everywhere in all other universities. They were still getting invited to Oxford to speak. So I had a lot of extra respect for Oxford because of that, at least. Now, ma'am, tell us about your life. Yeah, ma'am,
on
go
that
ahead.
point, I'd like to say, in today's world, we want to shut down the opposite voice. That is what we don't want to hear the other side's opinion. And this is very wrong, because there's nothing wrong with somebody speaking their point of view. You don't have to agree with them. There are different points of view. You don't have to agree with everything everybody says, but one should hear. One should hear the other side. If for nothing else, for your own education. There's nothing wrong. Now we've got into this world where we only want to, listen to our own point of view. So we watch TV programs which reinforce our own thinking. We don't want to hear the other side at all. In fact, if you hear the other side, it's considered, oh, how come you're listening to that?
How come you're platforming them, encouraging them, apologizing for
which
them?
Which is wrong, because everybody should have the right to speak. You don't have to. That is a civil society, right?
Yeah.
That is being broad-minded, is to give everybody an opportunity to speak.
Yeah.
Then you make what you have to out of that. You don't have to follow everything that everybody is saying just because you're giving them a platform to talk. I mean, presumably they're not saying something that is dangerous to society. That's a different matter.
Yeah. Okay, this brings us to a great segue. Then, do you agree with the First and Second Amendments of the US Constitution? Because not many NRIs do, I think.
What, the right to
free speech and the gun rights? Yeah.
Well, free speech is a very important right, but it is not unlimited. See, free speech can never be unlimited, because free speech means that it gives you the individual right to say what you think. But your right cannot impinge on somebody else's freedom. You can say, you can exercise your free speech so long as it doesn't impinge on somebody else's free speech or on somebody else's other freedoms. For example,
do you agree with the American way of free speech, or would you like it to be curbed a little?
I think that that free speech is necessary, but it has to be limited, and I think it is limited. For instance, if you are in an airport, right? You're going through security. You can't shout, "I have a bomb," and say that's my free speech.
Yeah.
You will be arrested for saying
Yes.
that.
Yes.
So that why would you be arrested? The reason is because by saying that, you are impinging on other people's freedom to be in that airport at peace. Because then what you're doing is creating panic. The flight will be cancelled. This will happen. All these problems will happen which impact other people. So your freedom of speech to say something is limited by the effect that it has on society. So there cannot be unlimited free speech. And I don't think in America also there's unlimited free speech, to be honest. Yes, they do carry it they give you a lot of freedom, but it's not unlimited. You can't shout fire in a crowded theater.
Yes.
If you're sitting in a theater and you shout fire and create a commotion there, that is not acceptable. You cannot give that excuse, "Oh, it's my free speech. I felt like saying it." Freedoms are limited, and they have to be limited.
Yeah.
And as far as the gun rights, see, the gun rights, if you ask me, they were, this thing was for a time when people needed to protect themselves. There was no basically law enforcement and all. It was a different, we're talking about, more than 100 years ago.
1791.
It was a different circumstance. Yes. So then at that time, now today, we have a law enforcement. So to be honest, having a gun, there's a big debate on this. If you ask my opinion, I think that a weapon, a dangerous weapon, should only be in the hands of very few people. A dangerous weapon should not be in the hands of anybody. The reason why is because most people can use it for heightened emotion. When they get very upset, they will pull it out and use it. If it's available.
Yeah.
But if it's not available, then you won't use it. So why should anybody have something like that, a dangerous weapon? I always go back to our Shastras. What our Shastras say about this, because they have the great wisdom. The Brahmastra was a major weapon of mass destruction. Now, this Brahmastra was not taught to everybody. Why was it not? Karna wanted to learn the Brahmastra from Drona, and Drona did not teach him. The reason Drona did not teach him the Brahmastra is because Karna had a very he had a very jealous personality, and he was very easily angered. So Drona didn't feel he was had the right temperament to be handed a weapon of mass destruction. So he didn't teach him. Then he went to Parshuram to learn it. That's another story. But he taught it to Arjun. Why did he teach it? Because he felt Arjun had the correct mindset to handle a weapon like this. So, taking this example, the same teaching to our modern society, the people who should have dangerous weapons are those who have the mindset to handle it. So, it should not, in my opinion, be given to just everybody.
Okay. Now, ma'am, tell us. Yeah, ma'am, go ahead.
They won't know how to use it in the right way. So yes, law enforcement, do they need it? Yes, they need it. The army, do they need it? Yes, they need it. But does ordinary person walking on the street need it? No, because they'll likely use it for some wrong purpose.
Ma'am, but criminals already have the guns.
And
they are a criminal.
That's exactly why they shouldn't have it. They are the exact people who shouldn't have it. If it's available
Yes,
easily,
but you can't prevent a criminal from having a gun because he's a criminal. He has broken 50 laws. He'll break another law and buy the gun, even if guns are banned.
but it has to be available to buy, no? If it's
Yes, even
available to buy,
in India, it's extremely hard to buy a gun. But every criminal of every political party has a gun. Who is it preventing?
you can
Only
always
the law-abiding
break,
citizens.
right? But that in fact that is the argument. In the US, that is the argument. The debate is a good person should have a gun so that the bad person doesn't use the gun. But in practice, what happens is it's the bad people who use the gun because it's actually here so easily available. You can buy a gun very easily here in many states. You can just walk across and buy a gun. But it's not.
Yeah, in a gun fair.
Yeah, see, and if you compare the gun deaths in India and the gun deaths in the United States, there's a huge difference. Why? I'm not saying it doesn't happen in India. I'm saying that I don't know the statistics, but I can tell you, if you look at the statistics, I would be very sure that the gun deaths in India are far less than the gun deaths in the United States, despite the fact that our population is more than 3 times.
Yes, ma'am. The gun deaths are not that high in India is because the guns are used to threaten so many people who don't have the guns. Like if today Trinamool Congress comes to my house and they have broken my hand, I could not threaten them back with a gun, but they broke my hand. I could not do anything about it. And they did not kill me, so I did not end up as a statistic. But in USA, maybe I would have shot them back and they would end up dead. And that's how I would increase the statistics. So people are in the end safer with a gun, isn't it?
See, this is an endless debate which happens in the US. There are two sides which have arguments both ways. But whenever I have a doubt, I go back to what our Shastras say. And in our Shastras, it says that weapons should be in the hands of those who know how to wield them and who have them. So you cannot prevent somebody from getting it, in an underhand way. You cannot prevent that. No government can completely prevent crime. But yes, you can have rules to make it difficult to get. So that you can certainly do. That's all I can say in terms of what can be done. But should a gun be in the hands of a criminal? Obviously not. They should not have. We should make as many rules to prevent them from owning such a weapon.
Yeah. Okay, we are not going to be able to complete a debate that's going on in your country for so many decades.
Yeah, this is an argument that can go on and on from both sides.
Yeah. So, ma'am, I'm very curious about the bunch of white books behind you. What are they?
Oh, those are the Veda. I got the full set of the Veda. And so it has got the Sanskrit and the verses and with the English translation. So they're both. So I use them as reference books, actually. They're not they're not for bedtime reading. I go back and I use them as as reference books.
Right. Whose translations are these?
This is by Dr. Tulsi Ram.
Okay.
And this is, I wanted a full set, not an the abridged version. I wanted the full set. And I found this actually on Amazon. So I bought it a few years ago.
And what are the books, set of books above the Vedas?
Oh, that is the Mahabharata. That's the complete Mahabharata. So because that's also Sanskrit to English, because actually I like to read it in the Sanskrit because I learned the Sanskrit to understand our text better. And so I read it in the Sanskrit and then I do read the English to understand it better. But when you read it in the Sanskrit, the meaning is so much clearer.
Yeah.
It's completely different. The whole understanding that we have of our, even if you think about the Bhagavad Gita, there are many verses in the Bhagavad Gita that are difficult to understand in English, but when you understand them in the Sanskrit, the meaning is so much clearer. I'll give you a very good example. There's a famous, the most famous one actually line is the Karmanyeva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana, which is
Hmm.
uh, the way it's translated is you have the right to work, you don't have the right to the result.
Hmm.
This is the translation. And most people who hear that will say, then why am I working? If I don't have the right to the result, why am I working?
Yeah.
But see, this is not a very appropriate translation. Because what Krishna is actually saying here is when he uses the word adhikar, he says karmani eva adhikar. That's what that line is. You only have control over your work. You don't have control over your result. So the word adhikar, if you translate it as right, it gives a completely different meaning. If you translate it as control, which is what is meant to be, he's meaning to say that you don't control. Because do we control the result? We don't control the result. We never control the result. We only control our effort. So whatever effort you put in, that's what you control. And this is actually, for some people, it just comes instinctively, this thing.
Right.
You know, Roger Federer said this in his commencement speech at Dartmouth. I don't know if you heard it, but he said that whenever he plays a point, he focuses only on that point. He's not thinking of anything else. But he says once the point is done, it's done. So he doesn't worry about it. His effort is only, his focus is only on his effort, on his game. This is what, and that's why he is so successful. And that's why he could play with such calmness. Because when you focus on what you can control, it's very empowering. But what we tend to do is we focus on what we think we want out of what we are doing.
And ma'am, this is something every...
Hello?
Sorry. Your voice broke up a little.
If we focus only
go ahead.
on... Did I lose you? Or?
Only the last
if
sentence.
we focus on what... I don't remember what I said last, but if we focus on what we can control, it's very empowering. Because that is what is within your power. Well, if you focus on what you want out of what you're doing, that is not within your power. So when you're studying for an exam, I love to give this example. If you're studying for an exam, the only thing you control is how you study. Can you control whether you're going to come first? You can't. But you can control how you study. And yes, if you control your effort, maybe you will come first. But you cannot be thinking in your mind, oh, I must come first, I must get a rank, I must do this. You must not be thinking of that. You must think only of what is within your power, which is what your studies. That is within your power.
Yes, ma'am. And this is something every coach and every team captain in every sport will tell their teammates, that control the controllable.
Yes.
That is exactly what the Gita says.
Yes. That's what Shri Krishna is saying when he says karmanye eva adhikar. Karmanye vadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. Don't think about what is uncontrollable, which is the result. Think of what you can control, which is your effort. So this is exactly, this is the life lesson. This is why I say Bhagavad Gita is for everybody. Because tell me, is this knowledge something for only Hindus? It's for everybody. This is universal knowledge. It is above religion. This is an example of why I say it sits above religion. Because it is so universal.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you for giving us so much time. And this will be the last question of the day. Help us understand the true translation. What can be a true translation for the word dharma?
See, dharma is it is a word that is translated today as religion, as duty, as morality. But it's actually not any of these. Morality is part of it. Duty is part of it.
And it's sometimes law as well, right?
Law also. It's actually none of these convey the real meaning. What dharma is doing the right thing in the context for the good of the many. So when your action is dharmic, it is the right thing to do in the context, because dharma can vary by context, for the good of the many. That means not for your selfish good, but for what is in the general good. That is dharma. So there's an example which actually Sri Krishna gives the story. He tells the story to explain dharma to the Pandavas in the Mahabharata. He says there was if you have 2 minutes, I'll tell the story. There's a sadhu called Kaushik who's sitting on the river bank, and he sees a man running away from robbers. And this man runs and hides behind a bush. And then this robbers come and they ask the sadhu, they say, have you seen somebody going this way? So the sadhu thinks in his mind, he says that if I'm a sadhu, if I tell a lie that I haven't seen him, then that would not be good. That's immoral. So I should be true to my word. I should be truthful. And I have to tell them that, yes, I saw this man, he's hiding there. So he does. And these robbers go and they kill the man and they steal his money or whatever. Now you have to ask the sadhu, he thought he was being moral, but what was that? That was a big adharma he did. Because in this context, he should have, it was not dharma to tell the truth. In this context, dharma would have been a lie. In this context.
Right.
Because it was not for the good of the, it was not for good. By telling the truth, he caused the death of a person.
Yeah.
So that it can never be dharma. So that's how dharma is an eternal principle. Because it's as valid in the past as it's valid today. By this definition, do what is the right thing to do in the context for the good of the many. So take this example. Right thing to do would have been what for the sadhu? To tell the truth or tell a lie? In this context, telling a lie would have been dharma, and telling the truth turned out to be an adharma. Because it caused that person to get killed.
Yeah.
So you see, dharma is something that is never out of style. Because this principle is eternally valid. In fact, the whole Ramayana is about this. You know, there's a story of Vali, of Sri Rama killed Vali from behind a tree. And people criticize, they say, because they take it as morality. Oh, how can Sri Rama kill from behind a tree? People say this because they don't understand dharma. Because if you understand it from the point of view of dharma, it's never wrong. What Sri Ram did was dharma. Because what he did is Vali had a necklace that protected him from being killed. Because it would take the strength of whoever stood in front of him, that person's strength would go to Vali. So Vali could never be killed. But Vali had committed a grave crime. He had stolen his younger brother's wife, Ruma, and he was cohabiting with her, which is a crime. Because first of all, he took her against her will. He kidnapped her. So is that he had to get justice for that crime? Then how would that justice be given? In those days, that was the punishment for that was death. How would that punishment be delivered to a person who cannot be killed in a fair way? So to deliver justice, Sri Ram had to break the rule of battle of not facing him in order to deliver a higher dharma. The higher dharma was to deliver justice for a crime, a grave crime that he committed. You cannot take a woman and against her will and cohabit with her, and that too a younger brother's wife, and a younger brother's wife should be like your daughter-in-law. You should be thinking of her as your daughter, not with lustful eyes. So from all these points of view, the punishment for that could not be enforced in the usual way. Rules had to be bent. But then why is it dharma? It's dharma because it was for the good of, it was for good. It was for Lok Kalyan. Sri Rama didn't do this for himself.
Yeah.
He did it to deliver justice.
Yeah. Ma'am, do you have some more time? I have 2 more questions as well. Ma'am, please finish your point as well.
No, this is the difficulty of dharma, which is why It's hard for people to understand dharma. And in the Mahabharata, it's explained. It says dharma the word is used as sukshma, which means subtle. Dharma is very nuanced. It's not black and white. It's very gray.
Yes.
And to understand what is dharma and what is adharma, you have to be a dharmagnya, which means someone who knows dharma, which was Sri Rama. Sri Rama was a dharmagnya. So he knew in which context to, which dharma to uphold and which one to let go. So he let go of that dharma of fair fight for the higher dharma of enforcing justice for a crime committed, a heinous crime committed, actually. So,
ma'am, the opposite of this, I think, is the black and white easy way of understanding the world, which Nietzsche would have called Christian morality. And since Christian morality is so black and white and so easy to understand, is that the reason for so many conversions and their, let's say, popularity and success all over the world, as opposed to Hinduism being much of smaller population? Because it's so nuanced, it can't be explained and evangelized to that extent.
See, there is a point there. Hinduism is very difficult to communicate. The true Hinduism, that Vedanta, that philosophy is very difficult to communicate to the masses. It's really difficult because it requires you to be interested in learning it yourself. It cannot be imposed. It's not, as I said, it cannot be imposed. Whereas a belief system can be imposed. You can tell somebody to believe something, but you cannot make somebody learn something from within without their participation. But a belief system is easy to be imposed. And because Hinduism is not a belief system, it's difficult. It's not imposed on people. It requires the person themselves to come to it. So so it's not, and it doesn't believe in proselytizing and spreading it. It believes that if you're ready, you'll come. So yes, you're correct. Belief systems are much easier to spread than Vedanta, which is not a belief system.
Ma'am, then I have a follow-up question on this as well. I've heard Judaism is also like this, that if you want to convert to Judaism today, the rabbi will first ask you why. Why do you even want to convert to Judaism? First explain to me why isn't your past religion good enough? So then we see a similarity between Hindus and Jews, that we are much smaller in number and we are always at threat from other people. So wouldn't it be better if we just made a black and white version out of it and therefore have a gigantic population so we can live much safer in the world? Isn't this nuance killing us?
It would ruin it.
Yeah, it would.
Because the beauty of Hinduism is in its high philosophy and that fact that it is beyond religion. That is the beauty of it. And now if we change it, for what? And actually, to be honest, if you think in this world, according to our Hindu belief, we are born for spiritual growth. So eventually everybody will come to this knowledge. That's what we believe. Because the purpose of your birth is to realize that God is one, that Brahman is one, that there is only one power. Once you realize Aham Brahmasmi, the Vedas say that, you must have heard Aham Brahmasmi, right?
Yes.
That once you realize that, you get moksha. There is no need to be reborn.
Yeah.
So how can we change that? We cannot change that, because that would ruin the whole philosophy. We are not a belief system. Each of us, we are spiritual seekers. We are on a journey. We are on a journey of spirituality. We are not there to follow this and that and rules and belief systems. You're not a believer.
Yeah.
If you're a Hindu, you're not a believer. You're a seeker. Now, if you say that no, we should become believers so that we can grow, then that's not. Then you're not a Hindu. Then you're not a Hindu. Then there are other belief systems. You might as well join those. If you want a belief system, then there are plenty of belief systems. But Hinduism is not a belief system. Hinduism is you have to feel from within.
Yeah. Ma'am, we had a repeat question from the audience members here. All of them wanted to ask you, what do you think? What's your opinion on the Uttarakhand being later added to the Ramayana and the controversy surrounding it?
Yeah. So now that is a big debate. And there are scholars on both sides of the aisle. Some say,
Yeah.
no, this is an integral part of Valmiki Ramayana. Others say that, no, this is added later by some followers who just put it on. Now, there are points for both sides. And I actually haven't got into this controversy because, there are many scholars who probably know much more than me who have views on this. The reason why I feel that the Uttarakhand, it's not important whether it was added later or added or original. The way I look at it is, what is the teaching from the Uttarakhand? It's teaching us something. That is what we should go with. So what the Uttarakhand is teaching and why people don't like it is because there are certain incidents in that. One is that Sri Ram separates from Sita, in the Uttarakhand, which people don't agree with. They say that no, that he could never have done that. Second is there was that killing of Shambhuka, which people say he could not have done. That could not have happened. So these are the two incidents.
Then Agni Pariksha is the main one, of course.
Agni was not in the Uttarakhand. That's actually in the Yuddhakand. That's in the main Ramayana. The Agni Pariksha happened actually right in Lanka. The moment the war was over, before they came back to Ayodhya, was the Agni Pariksha. And the Agni Pariksha, that's another thing. If you read the Valmiki Ramayana, it's not that Sri Ram wants to test her purity. He doesn't do that to test her purity. The whole thing is different in Valmiki Ramayana. I would have to explain this. Do you have the time?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I do. I thought you don't.
Or which one? Agni Pariksha? Should I explain why?
Yes, please. I have the time. I thought you don't have the time.
See, no, I can talk about the subject forever. It's my favorite topic.
Please go
but
ahead.
Anyway, when Sita got stolen, when she was kidnapped, Sri Rama was completely broken. He loved her like no man loves any woman. I'll tell you that. If you read Valmiki Ramayana, you see how sorrowful he was. He says to Lakshman, he says, you go back to Ayodhya. I cannot leave without her. She's my heartbeat. There is no other person I want in life. He could have gone back. If he had, he knew she was kidnapped by Ravan. He knew she was there. If he had such ego issues, why would he not go back and marry somebody else? In those days, he could have married, I don't know how many women, hundreds of women he could have married if he wanted. But he didn't. Why? Because he only had eyes for her. He did not look at another woman in his life ever. So when she was kidnapped, he makes that trip to Lanka and the whole journey, he's miserable. He says, I miss her. He talks about it. He sees her in everything. He sees the deer. He says, oh, I miss her. Her eyes are as beautiful as the deer. Everything. He smells the fragrance of the flowers. He says, it reminds me of her. Just everything reminds him. And he's crying about wanting to be with her, wanting to be with her. Then when they reach Lanka, when actually the war is over, she comes to him, he suddenly behaves very cold. And he says, we can't be together. This is exact words. He says, now I've rescued you, but we can't be together. And he says, you are like a bright light to a blind person. So this is a hint to us and to her, bright light to a blind person. So who in this, the person who can't see the light is the one at fault, not the light. So what he's saying to her is that people will, he doesn't say this. He just says, you're like a bright light to a blind person, because he knows that people will not see her purity. People will misjudge her. And he says, you've stayed in the house of another man for almost 1 year. And we can't be together anymore. So she gets very upset first. Then she's a very strong person. So she says to him, she says, "You're talking to me like some ordinary man talks to an ordinary woman. I'm not an ordinary woman. I'm Bhumija. I came from the earth, and I don't have these loose morals. So, and I have never been unfaithful in my thought ever to you." So he's quiet. Then she says to Lakshman, she says, "Somitre chita me kuru." She tells him, "You make Lakshman." She says, "You make a fire for me, fire thing. I want to prove my purity." So he's not telling her anything. She decides that she wants to prove her purity by going through the fire. She does that. Agni Dev carries her out, and he says to Sri Ram, "Here is your Sita. She is the purest of the pure. I am Sakshi because I am Agni, and Agni is the witness, and I am telling you that she is pure." So you know what Sri Ram says over here? This is very important, which is not conveyed in other Ramayanas. He says, "I know. I did not do this for myself. She is not only purest of the pure, she is Vishuddha Trishu Lokeshu, which means she is purest of the pure in all three worlds. So not just this world, she is purest in all three worlds. I did not do this for myself. I wanted her to speak up because we are going back to Ayodhya, and she will be subject to slander. People will say bad things about her. I did not want her to suffer that. So I wanted her to speak up, not for me, but to protect her from wagging tongues." So you see, it's a very different thing. He never did it for himself. He didn't care. He didn't care about that. He says, "I know no one can be more pure than her." So this is a very misunderstood thing, that he told her to do this because he had ego issues about her purity. He had no ego issues. Their relationship was the best relationship any two people can have. They were like, they completed each other. So they were absolutely equal partners. So, this is a misunderstood. So coming back now to the Uttarakhand, the question that was asked and I didn't answer. So these two incidents of why he separated from Sita and the Shambhuka incident, people don't like that, and they say that this cannot be Sri Rama who did this. But if you look at it, the Shambhuka incident, Sri Rama did not kill him because he was doing a penance and that he was not a Brahmin, and therefore he killed him. That's what people, the charge is that he was, Shambhuka is described as a Shudra, and the charge is that he was killed because he was a Shudra who was doing tapasya. So therefore he was killed. So this is casteist. That was not why he was killed. He was killed because he was doing what kind of tapasya? He was doing a tamasic tapasya. He was doing it not because he was doing tapasya. He was doing a wrong tapasya. He was doing tapasya to gain authority over the three worlds, over to become all powerful. Now that was the same tapasya that Ravan did.
Right.
And you see what happened. So he was not killed because of his varna. He was killed because of what he was doing, the tapasya he was doing, which was wrong tapasya. So it was for a wrong, not for Lok Kalyan. That tapasya that he was doing was not for Lok Kalyan. It was because it would have made him all powerful over the heavens and the earth, and given him power over all three worlds. And you know that when you get that kind of power in the wrong hands, that's dangerous. So that's why. So this is the misunderstanding, that it was not a caste killing, which people think it is.
Right.
That can never happen. In none of our shastras can ever talk about caste. We didn't have caste. It didn't exist. So then the other story about why he separated from Sita after this, because again, that's a misunderstanding, because people think one dhobi said something and therefore he felt insulted and therefore he separated from her. That is because of ego. Again, completely wrong. The reason he separated from her was because, first of all, there was no one dhobi. He himself had a market survey every day. He used to send people, ordinary people, to go mix in the marketplace to give him feedback of the real feelings of the people, so that he would
Okay.
be able to address them. Because nobody is going to come and tell the king that he's wrong. So one day, this a dhobi called Bhadra came, and he asked him, Bhadra, is everything good in the city? Everything okay? Bhadra said, yes, everything is good. But he felt Bhadra was not telling him the whole story. So he said, no, you have to tell me. You're hiding something. So Bhadra says, okay, if you insist, I'll tell you. People are saying that you did a great thing by killing Ravan, but you have wronged them by bringing Sita back and putting her in the position of queen, because we don't accept her as queen. So the people said that they don't accept her. Now, Sri Ram was a dharmic king. Now, what does a dharmic king do in a situation like this, where the people are saying, we don't want her as our queen? So he was thinking of what he could. He had only 4 options. One is he could have ignored the people, which he can't do as a dharmic king.
Yeah.
People have a concern. Can he ignore it? Second option, he could say, okay, fine, you don't like her. She's my wife. I'm leaving the palace. I'm going back to to Vanvas with my wife, and I will. Somebody else can rule. Bharat or whoever can rule. But that is dereliction of duty. You can't just give up your duty for your own.
You're running away from your responsibility.
Run away from your responsibility because it doesn't suit you. He can't do that. Third option was send her back to Raja Janaka. He couldn't do that because he loved her so much, and that was not possible for him to separate from her and get married again. That's not possible. So the only thing that he could do was to put her, and she had actually said that she missed the ashrams. She told him that the day before, that I want to go and visit the ashrams because I miss the satsang, of the rishis. What he did is he thought, okay, the best option is let me send her to the ashram. So we are separated. We are not divorced. We are just separated for the sake of the people. And perhaps in his mind, he also left the option that if at a later date, the people are okay, she can come back. Because she's just living in a separate place. He's not thrown her out. He's not left her and married somebody else. So he did this because as a dharmic king, his duty was to his people. And yes, he had a duty to his wife. But in a dharma sankat, you can only choose one. He had his duty to his wife and his duty to his people. In this case, he put his duty to his people above his personal happiness. Because his duty to his wife was his personal happiness. He loved her, as he said, he was his heartbeat. He loved her more than anything else in the world. And yet, he was able to do this because of his duty to his people as a dharmic king. So that was the reason. So, we have to look at the Uttarakhand in the right light. That's what I feel. But as far as the debate goes, I don't have a definite view on whether it was added or not added. When I wrote the retelling of Valmiki's Ramayana, I included it because it is included in most of the critical editions.
Right.
So I have,
and I've come to understand that the Ramcharitmanas also evolved with the social mores of the time as well, because Jayanta the crow sits on Sita's breasts in Valmiki's Ramayana and then sits on Sita's feet in the Ramcharitmanas. Because by then, the connotations of the breast had become something else entirely in the 1500s.
Right. Correct. See, the thing is that there is a difference in treatment in Valmiki Ramayana and Ramcharitmanas. In Ramcharitmanas, Sri Rama is depicted as God, as divine.
Yeah.
So everything is changed for that to accommodate that thinking. Whereas in Valmiki Ramayana, it's a biography. So a biography will not have that. A biography is more true to the itihas, as they say. That's why it's called itihas. Valmiki Ramayana is itihas.
Yes.
because it's true to the events that took place. But I'm not saying that Ramcharitmanas is wrong. You see, bhakti can never be wrong. All I'm saying is it's not itihas. There's a difference between bhakti, what you say out of bhakti, and what is itihas.
Yeah.
But that does not mean it's wrong. Because bhakti, again, I'll say bhakti can never be wrong. Devotion can never be wrong.
Yeah.
But it need not be historically accurate.
Yeah. I think
That's
we
the
can see many modern day examples of this as well. There might be one or two actual biographies of Narendra Modi written, but most biographies or books on him are simply done by stenographers who just like him a lot, or who just go around saying how many flyovers he built. So that's bhakti, and one is a biography. The others are biographies.
With everything, with anyone, and especially in this case, you see, there's a lot of the Ramcharitmanas was written how many thousands of years after Sri Rama?
Yeah, just 500 years back.
Just 500 years back. So obviously, by that time, the evolution of thought had changed, and everything had changed. In fact, in Valmiki Ramayana, the real Sita gets kidnapped. But I think in Ramcharitmanas, it's the Maya Sita. It's not even the real Sita who gets kidnapped, if I'm not mistaken. So there are many changes that took place in the retelling.
Have you read the Bengali Kritibashi Ramayana
No,
as well,
I haven't.
in translation?
I want to read. Actually, I haven't. I read Ramcharitmanas also a very long time ago. I should read the Ramcharitmanas again, just to get a comparison. Just to understand it.
Wait, ma'am, your voice is breaking up again. The American internet is betraying us again.
Recently. I did long ago. Oh no, I'm so sorry.
Okay. Yeah, it's back now. Yeah.
What did I miss? What was I saying? Okay.
Just the last sentence.
So I said I would like to read the other Ramayanas also, the later Ramayanas. But see, the later ones have changed the story. They haven't retold exactly what Valmiki said. And in fact, a lot of people get upset. Sometimes when I have given talks in one podcast, oh my gosh, so many people, because I talked about events in Valmiki Ramayana, people got so upset because it did not match what was written in Ramcharitmanas. So they felt that I was, saying something against Sri Ram because I quoted Valmiki Ramayana. So that is...
The fun part about the Kritibashi Ramayana is that you learn more about Bengal and Bengali culture than you'll about Ramayana, actually, because that's almost a Bengalijized version of Ram and Sita themselves, as if they are Bengali in a Bengali setting. That's the beauty of that text.
Okay.
Some of our NRI viewers are jokingly saying that she's either using Comcast or AT&T. Now, what is your next book?
Well, I wanted to explain this concept of dharma, which is so little understood. So my next book is actually going to be on that.
Oh, nice.
On
by when?
Well, I am in the final stages, so hopefully I will submit it to the publisher, and I want to submit it in the next month or so. I hope to submit it, and then it's up to them when they will publish it. So hopefully, in a year or so, I hope they will publish.
And ma'am, do you ever come back to Kolkata?
Oh, all the time. I come every year.
Oh, I see. So you still have family here?
Yeah, my parents live there.
Oh, I see. So how are you liking Kolkata?
I grew up there. I grew up in Kolkata. So Kolkata is home for me. But
how do you think it has changed?
It has changed a lot. It has changed. I do see change. I find that, in fact, I find a change in all over India, not only in Kolkata, in that
Yeah.
for some reason we've become very divided. We've become very divided, and we've become very, in some ways, we're looking down on our Hindu heritage, which
Oh,
is
yes.
unfortunate, which is very unfortunate, because this heritage it's, as I said, it's a universal, it's about universal truths. At its core, the Hindu heritage is about universal truths. And
Yeah.
it's about tolerance, it's about equality, it's about so many things that we all want.
Hmm.
So in my writing, I try and bring that out so that people appreciate. Because if you actually go back to our Shastra, and I say this as somebody who never appreciated the Shastras myself till
Right.
the last 10-12 years. I had no understanding
Right.
myself of the Shastras. And I understand that if we are not aware of what is there, we can have very wrong notions of what it
Yes.
is,
Yeah.
which I think my writing now aims to dispel. I write to show people that the Shastras were a treasure house of wisdom.
Yes.
They really
Yes.
are, and a wisdom that
Yes.
helps us in our everyday life today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, ma'am, are you originally Assamese?
No, I'm a mixture. And actually,
Oh,
my father is originally from Bangladesh, from Chittagong. So, but
Bengali.
my mother is Punjabi, and uh,
Oh,
I'm a mixture. Yes, I'm a Bengali, definitely by upbringing. The thing is, I don't think of myself as Bengali or Punjabi or anything. I actually think of myself as only as Indian, as and then that's important, because the moment we divide
yeah.
ourselves up and have these regional affiliations, and nothing wrong with being
Yeah.
proud. There's many things about
Yeah.
Bengal which is brilliant. Actually, I
Yeah.
you know the Bengali culture, the Bengali art, the talent is
Yeah.
is incredible. But
Hmm.
we should always think of ourselves as part of the whole. That's what I
Hmm.
feel, and I really feel Indian. You know, I feel
Hmm.
my mother's side, though they were from the north, they grew up for generations. 3 generations lived in the south, so I'm very very close
I
to the
see.
south as well. So I
I
don't
see.
feel that strong tie to any one part. I feel as
Right.
close to the south as the north, as the east, as the west. As Indians, we have a commonality, and that commonality is something we need to regain.
Yeah. Ma'am, how many languages do you speak?
Well, I speak English, I speak Hindi, I speak Bengali. I did try and learn French, so I speak a smattering of French. Um,
Okay.
and I've recently learned Sanskrit, so I can't say I can speak it fluently, but I can certainly understand it and read it. I can read it and understand it. But fluency comes with speech, and there are not too many
Yeah.
people who are there to speak Sanskrit with. But yes,
Right.
that was a huge thing.
I
I
see.
feel that was a big help in my learning the Shastras, is to learn the language in which they were written. Because
Yeah.
now, when I read the Bhagavad Gita and I read it in Sanskrit, it speaks to me differently.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Are you still fluent in Bengali?
I also used to speak Tamil, actually. I used to speak
Oh,
fluent Tamil because it was the first language I learned.
I
Because
see.
I grew up, my early years before I came to Kolkata were in
I see.
Chennai, and
I
so
see.
the first Indian language I learned really to speak was Tamil. And though I have
I
forgotten
see.
it now, I still remember
Okay.
it, because the other day I was in the grocery store here in the US, and there was a couple, and they were talking in Tamil, and I could understand everything they said. And I said to myself,
Oh,
wow, I knew this language when I was like up to the age of 6 or 7. I used to speak Tamil,
see.
and after that, never spoke. But I said that now I can speak this, I can understand everything they're saying. Because what you learn as a
Yeah.
child, you don't forget. What you learn later, you forget. But
Yeah.
the childhood, you don't forget. Yeah.
Yeah. What language did your parents speak in at home?
You see, this is the trouble. They spoke English because
Oh,
they were from
I
different
see.
parts. See, my mother
Right.
didn't speak Bengali, and my father
Right.
doesn't speak Hindi or Punjabi or any other language. He speaks Bengali
I see.
and English.
I see. I
So
see.
the thing is, unfortunately, when you have in my generation, it was unusual to be of mixed parentage. Nowadays, it's
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
common. But in
Yeah.
my generation, there were very few people who really came from this mixed background. Most people
Yeah.
had parents who spoke the same language.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
it was unusual to be growing up speaking English. Today, it's not so unusual.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
in those days, it was. And in fact, in school, people used to ask me this, and I used to say, if I ever said that I speak English at home, people used to say, no, but what language do you speak at home? But, growing up in Kolkata, of course, you know Bengali because it's spoken,
Yeah.
everybody speaks it.
Yeah.
So you automatically learn it. And
Are you still fluent in Bengali? Can we do a Bengali podcast with you as well?
oh my goodness, I don't think I would risk doing that. My Bengali is not so
Okay.
good to do a podcast.
Okay.
But
Okay.
yeah, I can speak. I can certainly communicate, but I don't know whether I can
I
do a
see.
whole podcast in Bengali. I think that would be
I see.
ambitious,
Okay. Do you have Bengali friends there?
much as I would love to. Here in the US?
Yeah.
In the US or in India?
In US.
Hello?
Yeah.
I think my
in
internet
USA.
is giving trouble again.
Yeah.
Oh, in USA, of course. Yeah, a lot of my friends from Kolkata are here.
I see.
I have
And
a lot
what
of
school did you go to in
friends.
Kolkata?
Yeah. Modern High.
Oh,
You know
nice.
Modern High School?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of
Yeah.
course.
Long
So,
ago.
ma'am,
I'm very old.
yeah. Yeah. What do the Americans who can't speak any language other than English, maybe some Spanish, think of this multi-language learning in every Indian family? What do they think of it? Have you ever had a discussion with them about these things?
I don't think that I think they just presume that you speak your own language. I don't think there's much thought given to it. I think
Okay.
it's just a given that if you're Spanish, you'll speak from Spain, you'll speak Spanish. If you're from France, you'll speak French. If you're from India, you'll speak. But they think that all Indians speak one language. That a lot of people
Right.
don't know that
Right.
that there was more languages than just Hindi. That
Yeah.
every region has its own language.
Right. A lot of my NRI friends have had this conversation, and they are very fascinated that every Indian pretty much grows up learning at least 3 languages. They are
Yes,
very
of course.
flabbergasted hearing this. Yeah.
Yeah.
And ma'am, when you
Yeah,
come
maybe
back to
because a
India,
lot of my
do
friends
you?
are from India. A lot of my friends
I
are
see.
from India, so they
Yeah.
already know, I guess.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the American friends, they've never mentioned this, that it's surprising that I know. So they're surprised that I
I
speak
see.
English. That sometimes they are surprised. That how is
I
it that
see.
you speak English when people do get surprised with that. They're not surprised that I know Indian languages. They're surprised that I can speak English. And then I explain that,
Okay. Yeah, a post-colonial society.
yeah.
So, ma'am, when you come back to India, which are the states that you usually visit?
Well, I always go to Delhi. My husband is from Delhi. Of course, now he's
Okay.
here, and my in-laws used to be there till they passed away a few years ago. And so Delhi, and we still have our home in Delhi. We still keep the home in Delhi.
Okay.
And then I always
see.
come to Kolkata because my parents are there. And it's basically these two places. And then I always like to visit some place in India. Before I used to go for vacations to all over the world, somewhere to Italy, France, here, there, everywhere. Now I realize that there are so many places in India I haven't seen. So now I make it a point that whenever we go on vacation, my husband and I, we try and go to some new place in India. So last time we went to Hampi, in Karnataka, which is beautiful. I mean, it's just incredible, Hampi.
Yeah.
So, like that, every time I like to go to a new place. The year before that, I went to Gaya and Varanasi. So that was also incredible. But I like to go to these places. So
the reason I'm asking this question is, which places do you think are becoming kind of first world-ish in India? Are we any
India
bit closer to becoming?
World-ish. The development in India is amazing. From somebody who left 30 years ago, every time I go back, I see development. And you know what the greatest development is? The rise of the middle class. You see in India, the growing middle class. That is the success of a country. The more people move upward into middle class, the more successful the society will be. And that is India today. I'll tell you, in another 10 years, you will see a huge, even bigger difference. Already there is a big difference. Of course. But you'll see even bigger difference.
These days, a job of a cab driver, pretty much that makes him solidly middle class.
We were a superpower when we were normal. Yes. Sorry, what were you saying? I missed that.
Yeah, I said that these days a cab driver is a solidly middle class guy.
Just now, you said something about solidly middle class. I didn't hear it. Sorry. No, I think we're having internet issues. I keep missing what you said.
Yeah, that these days Uber drivers in India are solidly middle class. Taxi drivers' job is no longer a looked down upon job or a poor man's job that you, if you are dirt poor and completely uneducated and stuff.
Right. No, and that's it. You see, there is no job that should be looked down on. First of all, no job is high, no job is low. Every job has its value. Every job is it's how you do it that makes the difference. The mindset with which you do your job. You do your job with devotion. No matter what job it is a good job. So there's no one high or low. You cannot judge people based on what they do. We have to judge people based on their behavior, on their how they conduct themselves in life. So, and that is changing. What you're saying is about the taxi drivers and all that is so wonderful to see. That is the success of a country.
Yeah, exactly. And that is there pretty much in USA to a large degree, that a construction worker with a gigantic podcast host will learn Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in the same institution, with probably one significant MMA star also training with them or coaching with them. That's kind of what we have always not done in India for a long time. I don't know if it was ever done, but it has not happened in India in the last 100, 200 years.
See, the last 200, 300 years in India has really changed changed Hindu society, I would say. Because, and not change it for the better, because we've become very divisive, we've become very caste conscious, class conscious, which is so against our Shastra. Our Shastras all talk about equality. And here we are as Hindus who come from the philosophy of Vedanta, from the Veda, which says we are all equal. And we are practicing this divisiveness, which is it's really sad, actually. We have to, I keep saying, we have to go back to our Shastras and revive those high values of equality, justice, liberty. That's what our Shastras are about.
Okay, ma'am. Last question for the day then. In your ideal scenario of India, which will probably, let's say, happen in the next 20, 30 years, maybe 50 years, maybe 100 years, what does the day in the life of an Indian man or woman look like in their late 20s, early 30s? What's the schedule like, and what would you hope that they have their daily lifestyle like?
Would hope they have their daily lifestyle like in which year? Now?
Let's
or
say in your ideal
future?
scenario. No, in an ideal
From right now.
scenario.
Yeah. Well, ideally,
Whenever that
every
ideal
person,
scenario happens, what is your
the
goal?
ideal scenario is that, you see, if you want a harmonious society, what we want is for to have a harmonious society, a prosperous society, a happy society. That's what we want. Now, that break it down, where does that start? It starts at the individual level. So each individual, if each individual is mentally content, mentally harmonious in their thinking, they will contribute to a harmonious society. If you have a society full of discontented people who are angry and who feel they are victims, you cannot have a harmonious society. So my ideal vision would be that every single person should discover their true identity as Atman and live in that, according to that higher ideal, no matter what they're doing. So if you do that, then each individual will be happy and society will be harmonious. And that is what Satyug is. Actually, Satyug is that. Why was there no crime in Satyug? There was no crime in Satyug because every individual was very fulfilled. And why were they fulfilled? Because they knew who their real identity as Atman. So yeah, that's basically it.
That sounds like a great idea. So, ma'am, this was such a fascinating conversation. Yeah.
Thank you.
Ma'am, this was
I'm sorry about
a
this
fascinating
internet
conversation.
issues.
Yeah. The first world country.
Thank
I
you.
had goosebumps on my arms many times over the things you said. It was great to learn a lot of new things. Actually, a lot of our audience members were also fascinated because of your explanations of a lot of things in the Ramayana. Thank you, ma'am. I hope to do this again with you someday soon. And looking forward to your next book as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, guys. Thanks for joining the live stream. Thank you, ma'am. See you soon again. Good night. Good night, guys.
Good night.
যদি সবাই ফিরে যায় ওরে ওরে ও ভাগা সবাই ফিরে যায় যদি গহন পথে যাওয়ার কালে কেউ ফিরে না যায় তবে পথের কাটা তুই রক্ত মাখা চরণ তলে একলা দলরে তুই রক্ত মাখা চরণ তলে একলা দলরে যদি তোর ডাক শুনে কেউ না আসে তবে একলা চলো রে যদি আলো না ধরে ওরে ওরে ও ভাগা আলো না ধরে যদি ঝড় বাদলে আধার রাতে দুয়ার দেয় ঘরে তবে বজ্রানলে আপন বুকের পাঁজর জ্বালিয়ে নিয়ে একলা জলরে আপন বুকের পাঁজর জ্বালিয়ে নিয়ে একলা জলরে যদি তোর ডাক শুনে কেউ না আসে তবে একলা চলরে একলা চলো একলা চলো একলা চলো একলা চলো